Not only have I chosen to remain fat and happy instead of thin and miserable, but I also don't care if it puts me at high risk of heart disease and diabetes. I'd actually rather get diabetes than be miserable. Can you believe it? My body, my choice.
The notoriously toxic body positive community has a new rising star. A doctor by day and fat activist by night, the latest member of the group has an interesting backstory. Yes, today we are discussing a doctor who outright denies to their growing band of followers that obesity is real.
Look, it's really important to understand that obesity is not a medical condition. It's a social construct, just like race, just like gender.
This has got to be one of the most extreme stances I have ever seen taken on this topic, and coming from a medical professional. I looked it up. They are currently employed as a doctor right now.
I do not believe that obesity is a medical condition.
So imagine my shock when I discovered that just a few short months ago, they didn't deny the existence of obesity. Quite the opposite, actually. And in this video, we'll watch the extreme changes that can take place when someone gets sucked into the notoriously toxic world of body positivity and fat activism. But before we get into it, a message from today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Scentbird. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service that gives you the option to receive new scents every month in just a few clicks. Choose a new fragrance each month from top designers like Prada, Gucci, and Versace, as well as indie labels like Vince Camuto, The Harmonist, and Confessions of a Rebel. I received this one for free. They sent me DKNY Be Delicious, which smells mostly like green apple. But as soon as they sent me the product, I actually went and signed up myself because I think it's an amazing product if you're into perfume. They get you to do a quiz based on what you're looking for. And then not only can you pick a new scent every month, but once you find a bunch you do want to try, you can schedule them in a queue so you're pre-set up for each month. And they give you this huge sample size, way bigger than you get in those little testers that are really only a few spritzes. This is a 30-day sample, so you really get to try out the scent to see if you like it. And they literally have everything on here, including a ton of more obscure, higher end brands. Making it really good value for money because sometimes these bottles of perfume are like $400 and they're 100% authentic because they work directly with the brands. If you guys are interested in giving Scentbird a try, use code KianaD55 for 55% off, just $7 your first month at Scentbird. And back to the video. Meet Dr. Asher Larmie, formerly Natasha. Their career in fat activism seems to have begun in 2021, when they went on a British TV show and announced that obesity is perfectly healthy.
We have a doctor that's telling the nation today that actually you don't need to lose weight and you can be healthy.
Fat Doctor tells their hordes of fans that it's both impossible and unnecessary to lose weight due to obesity being nothing more than a conspiracy by the weight loss and diet industry.
The diet and wellness industry has created a number of quote-unquote conditions that are supposedly caused by being fat. And then they have produced the tools to fix it. How convenient.
Not only is obesity fake news to this person, but Fat Doctor outright denies basic facts of reality and coaches their thousands of followers into ignoring the evidence on managing obesity and its complications.
Fat doesn't put pressure on your heart.
It's a common misconception that knee pain is caused by being fat.
As for blood pressure, there's no evidence that being fat causes high blood pressure.
Oh my god, enough with the fat around the organs. That is not a real thing. It is made up.
Okay, that last one you don't even need evidence to disprove, you just need eyes.
There's quite a lot of fat around the organs. There's a large amount of fat around the heart. There's more here than you would see normally, quite considerably more.
That is not a real thing. It is made up.
Something I've definitely noticed is that real scientists and doctors, they don't ever talk in absolutes like this. I think it's kind of a red flag that you're dealing with someone who is presenting you something based on their beliefs and not based in what is necessarily true when they speak as if something is absolutely true like that.
Don't assume that weight loss is going to benefit your health in any way, because there's no evidence to support that.
There's risk with using this kind of rhetoric with people that trust you, and especially when there's a pile of data suggesting that obesity is unhealthy for us. Like, I'm talking like thousands of studies showing that obesity is unhealthy for us.
I would like to point out once again that there are no academic articles that prove that being fat is bad for your health.
And if you're wondering, like, well, why are they saying that there's no evidence then? Well, it's because this doctor believes that all of the research we have should just be thrown out due to weight stigma.
In the case of obesity, it is weight cycling, weight stigma, and inequalities in healthcare. Without adjusting for these factors, the data is useless.
Now, I've already talked about this rhetoric at length in my Toxic World of Fat Activism video, so I won't break it down again here, but simply put, it's very cherry-picked. It does not align with what the research says. So all of this kind of gives you a good idea of Fat Doctor's messaging today. But let's rewind a few months to July 2020, a mere 6 months before Fat Doctor went on that TV show. They were singing a completely different tune.
About a month ago, I started trying to lose weight. I am on a mission to lose 40 kilograms in the next year. I believe in weight loss the hard way. I don't think it's meant to be easy because I don't think anything worth doing ever is.
I decided that I was going to keep a permanent record of my amazing weight loss journey by blogging about it. I had grandiose dreams of becoming a world-famous weight loss doctor. My first blog post was entitled, Weight Loss the Hard Way. Wanting to become a famous weight loss doctor just 6 months prior to denouncing obesity as fake news. Like, in just 6 months, you abandoned all your learning that you took like 12 years to acquire in medical school about obesity and health, to claim that obesity doesn't harm people. So what happened to turn this into this?
The thing is, the world hates us being fat. They would rather we died than remain fat. They would rather we were addicted to medication for the rest of our lives than remain fat. They would rather we became depressed and suicidal than remain fat.
No one is saying that. Like, what? A little off topic, but I have to mention here that I fucking hate when fat activists tell people that the whole world is against them because they're fat. That's one thing that it makes me so angry. Not only is it not true, it is not a helpful mindset for anyone. I don't understand why this is such a core part of their messaging. It makes me literally so angry. Anyway, how did we get here? Well, it looks like at some point during the pandemic, Fat Doctor went through a rough period of time. They were depressed and they wanted to give up on dieting. And in exactly that vulnerable moment, someone reached out. It was in that moment that people in the fat liberation community reached out to me and supported me. They told me about people like Reagan Chastain.
I'd say, oh, these weight gain memes, they're fatphobic in the extreme. What the hell were you thinking?
Virgie Tovar.
A cake-related fatphobic incident, or CRFI, is that moment when it's time to eat delicious cake and it's interrupted by a moralizing impulse.
I learned all about the health at every size movement and went on a 10-week intuitive eating course. And then virtually overnight, Fat Doctor's social media posts were transformed.
In the 1930s, the Nazis convinced the people of Germany that Jews were to blame for all of their problems. The kind of propaganda that led to an entire nation blaming one group of people for their problems also led to the death of 6 million people. Now, I would never compare the Holocaust to anything else that is going on in the world today, because nothing can compare to the Holocaust. But you can't help but draw some parallels.
There's no cop out there. You made that comparison at your own peril. That's a lot for me. Not only is that comparison a little bit far-fetched, to say the least, it's particularly disturbing and really, really demonstrates what this movement does to people when just to this day on their LinkedIn page, it says this still. I am equally passionate about improving the way that the health profession is managing the nation's obesity epidemic.
I do not believe that obesity is a medical condition.
Over 60% of adults are classified as overweight or obese, and this is a direct result of the society that we are living in. We need to be intentional about the way we manage our weight, and we need the skills to do this. It won't be easy, but nothing worth doing ever is. I have to wonder, are you still vaguely aware of the truth, or have you just been so indoctrinated that you've just blank slate?
If I had a choice, I would choose fat every single time. Why? Because fat people are my community, and I love my community.
Fat Doctor was working to better themselves and then discovered the likes of Lindo Bacon and Virgie Tobar.
So we don't have evidence that fat is the killer it's made out to be, you may be thinking, but it clearly causes disease. Does it? The best way to win the war against fat is to give up the fight.
2 fat activists I've already covered at length, and then just unlearned like 12 years of medical school. For me, this whole thing is like a baby cult. In my Toxic World video, I showed examples just like this. Stories of people just like Fat Doctor who got sucked into this online community. They start believing this rhetoric, denying science, feeling like the whole world is against them because for whatever reason that's a core part of their messaging. Then they often put on a bunch of weight, and it takes some sort of a health scare for them to realize that this is not what they want to do. In that video, I saw multiple young girls go through a health scare because they joined this movement.
My body was good, and it was just unhealthy. And I didn't want to see that, and entering into the fat acceptance movement really made me blind to that.
Like, it's not right. And I wonder how many people end up in this situation because of people like this online. It's misinformation, and it's very unfortunate that a doctor who at one point recently knew better is the source of it. So here's another example. Fat Doctor in 2020.
Everybody knows that leading a physically active life is not just good for you physically, but it's good for you mentally.
And here they are today.
On average, physical activity does improve health outcomes. But that does not mean that lack of physical activity is quote-unquote unhealthy.
Dude, you're really gonna argue that physical activity is not good for everyone as a doctor? As someone who spent 90% of their life obese, it's hard. Like, people do use it as a license to be cruel to you. It's just a fact. And other people feel that you're just lazy or you're just not trying hard enough, and they feel it appropriate to tell you that if you just put in a little more effort, then you'd be thinner. I had a boyfriend who would constantly say things to me like, well, Kiana, maybe you just stopped eating so much and went to the gym. Like, you think I didn't try that? You think me and every other fat person hasn't tried that before? You don't think we spent our entire lives trying that? It is not that simple. Obesity is a complex psychological, physiological, environmental, genetic issue. We do not deserve to feel bad because of it, and no one deserves to be shamed for their weight. But that does not change the fact that it's harmful to deny to people that it's unhealthy. I see more and more people every single day believing the lie that it's not unhealthy. That doesn't mean that the BMI is flawed. That doesn't mean that weight stigma doesn't affect people, or weight stigma in healthcare doesn't need to be changed. But none of that takes away from the fact that it does seem to be, based on the data, unhealthy for people. And this person's words, especially as a doctor, truly have the potential to do serious harm.
People are dying. Gain perspective, please. Thanks in advance.
And again, if you guys are interested in giving Scentbird a try, use code KianaD55 to get 55% off. Just $7 for your first month with Scentbird. Now available in the US and Canada. Thanks for watching.